Hey everybody, welcome. This is my very good friend and coach, Michael Borowitz.
Hello, Facebook.
Who is the most wonderful coach and pianist, dear friend of mine who lives here in Baton Rouge, and he's very generously offered to work with me today on some new Mozart concert arias. This is new rep for me, so we're going to just be working through it together, starting and stopping, and learning as we go. And the two arias we've chosen for today are qual, which is K.582, and Vado, K.583.
Two of my favorites.
Good.
Yep.
You know them.
I do.
Good.
I do.
Teach them to me.
Been a long time.
Chissà quale sia l'affanno del mio bene, se sdegno, gelosia, timor, sospetto, amor, se sdegno, gelosia, timor, sospetto, voi che sapete a lei, e pure affetti in lei, voi questo dono amaro, toglietemi dal cuor, voi questo dono amaro, toglietemi dal cuor,
So we just worked out this little extra tidbit at the beginning.
Yeah.
Does it slow it down too much?
I wondered about what we should do about the tempo of that
You know?
cadenza. If we should keep it totally true in tempo, da da dee da 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 da, you know,
Yeah.
or take a minute and slow it down. What do you
And
think?
I'm wondering, instead of that little at the very end, if we can do some sort of offbeat sort of thing, off of what's happening on the downbeats here. If we can do so that it's
So don't do the high.
So I don't know, because I think for some reason that romanticizes it too much for me.
Yeah.
And that's
We
not
could
really
try-
what she's doing.
Right.
Is that too square?
No. that.
You want to try it once?
Yeah.
We're going to do it from the first toglietini.
Sure. Okay. And, oh, these are quarter notes now. Lisette, they're off beat. All right.
Right? So if we have that little... And I also think just no relaxation going into it. I think with the energy, now with the offbeat energy, I think just tumbling right in.
Into the beat. Okay, so I need to get a better breath before I approach that. Can we try that again?
Absolutely. Yeah, and. Right. But then we're right. Yeah.
Kisa instead of kisa, or do you think?
Kisa. I like a nice firm 8th key there instead of the 16th. Since we're doing it. Kisa.
So I need to prepare also that new idea that kisa is coming back.
Right.
Instead of surprising myself, and then all of a sudden, we're back at sa.
Whoopsie.
We're back at sa. Is the sound everything okay so far?
I think so.
Thank you.
Can I have your phone so I can master?
Yes. Hang my phone over. Hey. Okay, so that right here. This is so fun. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, I think for me the challenge with this aria when I was first kind of looking at it, and I've only looked at it for a day. This is a day's preparation.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. Because it's not very long. There are other ones that are much longer and more complex, right? With long recits and long 2 sections and all.
Right. But for me, I mean, from what I remember about it, I mean, this is early on in the show, and she's in that place. She's in that wondering place. She's not sad. Mm-hmm. She's just curious about why her husband feels that way. Mm-hmm.
And what is okay, so I don't know anything about this.
So from what I remember, I think he's completely broke, completely destitute.
Okay.
And he doesn't want her to know, and he doesn't want her snooping around and figuring it out. So he's being very sort of cold and distant with her.
And
so she,
like,
of
what's
course.
What's your problem?
Right.
It's always about money. There's always a money problem.
Well, I mean, thankfully, that's all this is.
Yeah, thankfully he's not.
You know what I mean? He's not cheating on her. He's not doing any of that. I mean,
okay.
I think it's just money. And so she's just a curious. She's a great partner, I think.
Right.
I mean, I don't mean to give great depth to this libretto that probably isn't quite that deep.
Right.
But she sticks with him.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Now
because the Vado ma dove comes later on when she's starting to figure that this is actually personal, and she starts to really feel it.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Because then she says later. Yeah. So when we get to Vado ma dove, which we can look at now if you like, if you want to. I mean, I have noticed that these were 2 K back-to-backs, and they were both written for someone named Madama Lucilla, and I was like, oh, who's that? What's Madama Lucilla? Now I've only had a day. I haven't looked it up all the way yet. But
So it's from Martini Soler's. What's the name of it? El Burbero di Buon Cuore.
Okay.
Right. So the curmudgeon with a good heart.
Oh.
Right.
So is it
that's
kind
her
of
husband?
That's her husband. Because she does talk about him in Vado ma dove. She has the text about my promised husband. I don't trust you anymore. That's what she's saying. And so I wondered, and it's quite sad, this Vado ma dove aria.
It is. I mean, because and I think compared to what I remember of Martini Soler, I mean, Mozart's depth of emotion and his way of writing and conveying that emotion is so much better than Martini Soler. So I mean, it must have sounded like it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, like a Sondheim song in learner a low musical. You know what I mean? It sort of comes out of nowhere.
Right. So Mozart composed the arias for a piece that was being written by someone else. He just contributed these two arias.
Yeah, because they were, you know, they said, these other arias don't suit me. And actually, Vado Madove didn't really exist in the original version.
Oh, now
it was
Vado
a little
Madove
extra
is a very famous one. Of all the concert arias, that's probably the one that I see come up the most and it's been recorded the most. But okay.
Well, he packs a lot into it, and what I love about that is it has all of its action at the beginning, and then it really gets very sustained and subdued at the end.
Yeah, it's usually it goes the opposite way, isn't it?
Right.
Okay, well, let's go through that. If you want to go through that one already.
Yeah, you want to sing through a little Vado Madove?
Sure, let's see what that one's about.
my preference in the fast section at the beginning is not to take the eighth notes, not to let the eighth notes go out of tempo.
Okay.
According to the text, to actually make it a little bit more classical and a little more even, so that non sente il pietà non sente instead of da ba da ba da.
Yeah.
I think
A little
it
more
just
strict.
feels a little too rubato for me in those sections. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
You know, you can sort of play around with that and see what you think. I find strength in those sections more in the literal pulse of the eighths, rather than taking us more towards the text.
Yeah, because then in the contrast will show when we go to the very end with da da dee, the K.
Yep.
I agonized over this last page.
Why?
The K do, the da, K do, because if you really do it in tempo,
No,
you lose
why?
the beauty, don't you?
But
Whereas,
he totally sets you up for this. You know, going in after that long interlude, after the first do, mi, fa, where then he leaves you up on that high F, on that tu, ke, mi, fa. There's this suspension that comes from another place not really classically set.
Yeah.
Now we're leading a little bit more towards the romantic period, I think, and I agree with you. I would never take any of that in tempo. And then beautifully, what you did on that little
so that there works because we're kind of, there's nothing underneath her. It's just the vocal line, and you know it kind of has an emotional reason to not be perfectly in tempo. So
totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
But you know, it's that age-old thing about, you know, when you get into these sections where you've got the triplets and then duple over it.
That's hard to do. That's
whether
that
it
conto
stays that
thing,
way or whether it
isn't
doesn't. And I honestly think sometimes we can choose. Now, in this modern era, I think,
how
you know,
strict we want to be with that.
yeah. Sometimes you don't, sometimes you do.
Yeah. I definitely like it apparent that it's 1s and 2 and 1s and 3. That you're in 3 and I'm in 2. Because I always feel like that shows an emotional conflict. Because it feels a little off to the...
And then when we get to Donizetti, for example,
it's
then...
everywhere.
Right.
I don't think Donizetti wrote not 4 on... Never 3 on... I don't think he ever wrote 3 on 3. He always wrote 4 on 3 or 2 on 3. Or,
but you know, as a Donizetti lover, and I'm going to be... I should look out and say, please don't send me any nasty emails. I think he was never really clear. In many places about really whether he wanted it to, and there I do think it's up to the singer.
Yeah, I've had this conversation with other bel canto specialists who also say it's not necessary to keep that ridiculously rigid, perfect, even in Verdi.
Yeah.
For example, in La Traviata, bon chum chum dum chum chum dum chum chum, Alfredo, Alfredo, she's in 4.
Right.
And the orchestra's going dum 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 dum. It's so hard to subdivide it.
Right.
And if you do it perfectly, it sounds odd. And so the conductor said to me, you don't have to subdivide that so perfectly. This is Verdi, there's a little more space.
That's right.
Just sing the short notes short.
Right.
Think of the short notes being short. But I'm such an instrumentalist that I want to subdivide. Like, that's where I come from, you know?
I think subdivision is everything. I mean, for orchestral musicians and for singers.
It is. A subdivision is everything. I completely agree.
You can't collaborate without it, really.
Yes.
There wouldn't be any give and take.
Exactly.
You know, as much as we want to look at Mozart and modernize it and give it the romanticism that we're all used to, that we've seen through the years, I don't know. I mean, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
Do you want to do the last little bit
Yeah,
going
let's
into that?
do that.
Because I love that tu che mi par. I think here, just let it spin and don't. The lines then suddenly don't feel like they have any direction.
And, okay.
We've set that up. So it's 2 bars before it with this nice chromatic scale. can relax in the second beat going into that last triplet.
Oh, okay.
Because we're starting to unravel everything at this point.
Unravel it, exactly. Isn't it interesting that it falls on the text of che dubitar mi fa? And I was thinking, like, this whole last page is like a masterpiece of that idea, using the text to justify the rhythm in the music.
Right.
Because I was like, I'm dubitare about if I'm counting this right. Like, literally, dubitare means to doubt, right? And this makes me doubt. And so when she says che dubitar mi fa, che dubitar, it's an awkward rhythm. Like, it doesn't.
And deliberately so, right?
Yes, and it totally. And there's another spot in another concert aria, which I hope we at some point will do, is where the literal text is questo passo è terribile per me, and it's nothing but a chromatic minefield nightmare. And I'm like, so when I sing it, I'm going questo passo è terribile per me. It's literally what he wrote, a terribile passo.
Art coming to life.
I'm like, Mozart, you are too smart for us. You just,
and Da Ponte.
Yeah, right. Oh God, these texts.
You know, as simple as they are, they're not.
They're not.
Right.
Oh. Anyway, so you said you want to, as we're unraveling, to be a little less strict on our triplet there at the top of the page.
I think so.
Okay,
because
so maybe take more time.
Then it's starting to unwind.
Okay.
After you've done that.
Oh, I see.
See what I mean?
Let it end.
Done.
Okay. That's nice. And then I like.
And then this comes out of nowhere. Then it comes out of total isolation.
I see.
Oh no, I used the word isolation.
But I know.
Distancing.
Social distancing written into the music.
Rhythmic distancing.
Yes, rhythmic distancing.
We're going to do it again from the K, do, be, da, and. So the clarinet takes over.
It means something, doesn't it? The clarinet sings.
Well, and it doesn't. It's a different sound. It doesn't have the reediness of the oboe. It's much warmer, and So I think the singer always has to decide whether or not they want to marry with that sound or they want to go against the sound. I like marrying with it.
I
because
agree.
It's so beautiful.
It is nice when you can imitate. Have that. Okay, so that's good to know that that's a clarinet though, because you never know. Every instrument has a different sentiment associated with it, doesn't it? And clarinet we hear in so many Mozart moments that are
except the viola.
Sorry.
No,
viola. Oh my God. It's okay. It's okay to make viola jokes.
Listen, my violist friends know I love violas.
Viola jokes. I know.
Where do you want to take it from? You want to take it from the
yeah,
from
sure.
yours? Yeah.
K.582.
Uh-huh.
The one with many notes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a regalness in here, I find, at the end.
Yes, there's so much countess in it.
Yeah, there is.
There's so much
because
countess
she's
in it.
I hate to say it, she is a
noble.
strong, noble woman.
Yeah.
Her morals give her that nobility.
Yes.
And her love, I suppose.
Yes.
I mean, I wish I knew more about the original show itself, but
maybe convince LSU to patch it together and play it.
the answer to that would be no.
We're both here in Baton Rouge. Louisiana State University is our alma mater.
Go Tigers!
Yeah, go Tigers. If you're making donations to schools, give donations to the LSU School of Music, please and thank you. I always put in a pitch for that. Actually, and also, please donate to your local theater. Everybody's out of work now. We're working Michael's coaching with me out of the goodness of his heart, and we've got all this time now to work, and
right.
I'm very grateful, but it's going to be a while before I or any other people have a chance to perform anything outside of this situation of broadcasting. Thank God for the internet, but please give to your local theaters. Please give to your local opera companies and the AGMA Relief Fund and the Artist Relief Tree funds and Art Smart. That's funded by Michael Fabiano.
All of those super, super great.
Yeah. Wow. This is so beautiful. It's so it's just, Mozart always gets to the core of everything, doesn't he?
And simply, yeah. I mean, there's no need to gild it with anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And it feels good to do.
It does.
Doesn't it? I mean, I'm not a singer.
Amazing. For me, it just pours out. The thing about Mozart that I find hard with my voice is that, I want to put so much emotion into it. But with Mozart, you have to be very, you have your boundaries. It's like you can't color with too many crayons, otherwise it's kind of stops being.
I tell my students too, you can put so many colors in those boundaries.
Yeah.
Boundaries aren't a straitjacket at all.
Right.
It actually frees you to be more expressive in a different way.
Yeah.
That's one of the great things of what we do is we get to use all the tools in our toolbox and not just one all the time.
That's right. That's right. I mean, it's so, and he wrote so little as far as dynamics. I mean, you'll see a forte, you'll see a piano once in a while. You rarely see a crescendo or, I mean, it's like allegro. What is it? What do tempos even really mean in Mozart?
Well, and even from the beginning, after that whole sentice pieta non sentice, and when we get into this diminished section, it's super quiet. It is so hushed and so not what you would normally think of as danger.
Yes.
It's not. It's much. It's just going back and forth between tonalities, and there's nothing big and aggressive about it.
Right.
Again, it's a simple choice, but it works beautifully. Where do you want to take it? You want to take it from the second? Vado, Vado,
The second.
I
Yeah,
know.
sure.
You know where that little...
This was big. Where is that?
The
Vado, the bottom of the bar 16. Do you have bars?
Yep, that's it.
Do. We start playing the F's off the beat. We're getting a light. Maybe that would it help to have this light, the top light on, Stephen?
It's the bar last call, Lisette.
Oh right, yeah, I know.
We're 100% better in this light.
How's everyone enjoying the cast so far? Are people watching?
People are watching. Got about 100 average viewers.
Oh, fantastic!
And, people are just enjoying it. They're just sitting back and listening to the master's work.
That's right.
And feeling the tiger love.
Feeling the tiger love.
Yes, tigers.
Good.
Do you want to try that little spot?
Yes.
Just on here. For some reason there, it sounds too
soon.
Too soon.
Yeah, we can take it out. The thing about these long like holds, Mozart just writes a giant fermata, and in some instances, some conductors think, absolutely cadenzas and variations everywhere in Mozart, and some people say no, come scritto, and it depends on who you get, isn't it, and what you.
It is, yeah. I mean,
how you're playing.
You get some of these like abduction from the Seraglio performances, where there are a lot of opportunities for you to play back and forth between instruments, solo instruments.
That's right.
And I've heard some really interesting extra variations that include the orchestra as well.
Oh wow, that's something.
Which
I've never done that
which is
before.
sort of interesting, but it makes for a long night.
Right. Abduction's not a short show, so we do all the dialogue. Abduction is one of my favorites. In fact, I brought it for us to work on, but not for the video.
Right.
In fact, I think we'll probably
Are we done?
wrap it up.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. Does anyone have questions that they want to ask or direct? In particular, anything?
I haven't heard any questions yet, and
Okay.
there's always a lag a little bit, so we'll see if anything pops in. Any last minute questions?
Yes. So I will share that I am preparing some Mozart concert arias because I want to put together a proposal to record them, and nothing is set in stone yet, but this is something that I definitely want to do, and I've got 14 big, amazing concert arias. Now, none of the super high ones, because you guys know I don't do high notes. I don't do that high note life. Well, some high. The highest one I have so far, I think it caps out like a D.
Okay.
Maybe even one with one E flat, but I'm not doing the high G ones and stuff like that.
No.
So, but I'm really enjoying this. I've been working on so much Mozart, you guys, and Mozart is balm to the soul.
It is, always. It's what we always come back to.
That's right, always. So it's
Thanks,
medicine
Lisette.
for the voice. It's my vocal workout with my personal trainer, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart,
No one better.
and my
No
and my
one better.
spotter, Michael Borowitz, spotting the weight.
I try.
Yes. Thanks, guys, for joining us today. Really appreciate it,
everybody.
and we'll see you around. Take care.
Ciao.
Okay.